Hey y'all, it's Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Thanks for joining me for another crafty venture as I hop along with the card hopping group from Handmade Happiness on Facebook. And this month's theme is your favorite stamp, and then the challenge was either to use ink swiping or color blocking. I chose color blocking, and this is one of my favorite stamps. In fact, I end up using 3 favorite stamps, but I have a lot, so it was really hard to choose. I don't know if I have an overall top favorite, but I'm also using several favorites along the way. So we'll just jump right in. For the color blocking, which is the technique I decided to go with, I am choosing to do the color blocking with strips of paper. So you can color block in a variety of ways. This is how I went about it. So I am trimming down paper from my stash because I've been on a bit of a kick to use my stash lately. So these are just scraps. This cardstock that I'm using is, I think it's from a Recollections 12 by 12 paper pack. And it has this really glossy, not glossy, it's more of an opalescent shimmer to it. It's very, very pretty. You don't see the shimmer in the video at all, and that's a shame. But it's very, very pretty, and you can see that I went with an autumnal color palette, which is my favorite color palette. I don't have a favorite color per se. On any given day, one might be top over the other, but autumnal has been my favorite palette for years. So just using shades of brown, shades of green, those kind of mustardy yellows, the honeys. Yeah, just love, love, love. So the inks that I use are my favorites as well from PinkFresh Studio. Same color palette you'll see here in just a little bit. And you can also see that I'm making 2 cards. So just trimming it down, getting it all sized up. And I have these card panels, I think are like 4 by 5 1/4, because I want to add extra layers as we go, and that's something else that I love too. I love layers, I love dimension. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. But these are 2 of my favorite background stamps. That harlequin is a beauty. These are both from Stampin' Up. That harlequin I actually bought secondhand several years ago. I don't know how old it is. This buffalo plaid, maybe 3 or 4 years. Yeah, probably more like 4 or 5. Anyway, it's relatively new to the Stampin' Up family. I have not been a Stampin' Up demo for several years now, so I'm not sure what's new in their line. But anyway, these are 2 of my favorite background stamps, and I end up doing this favorite technique of heat embossing because of that slick nature of the cardstock. I knew that I was either going to put my hand in that ink or smudge it in some way because it was going to take a little while to dry. But I'm never mad about having to heat emboss. I love heat embossing. Never gets old. It's just kind of magical. So here I am stamping out my Bremerton Daisy from Picket Studios. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. Anything in the sunflower family is a favorite to me. So again with the heat embossing, but I'm using a favorite embossing powder. Favorite is a theme. And this embossing powder is from Hero Arts. It's called Princess Gold, and you can see that it is almost gone. I'm going to use every grain of this powder. But I always miss that one spot when I stamp out this image. I always miss it. So I'm guessing there might be a flaw with the stamp. I mean, the image is there. The stamp isn't, it's like it's not missing the detail just in terms of the stamping. I just need to be more mindful when I stamp out this image. So again with the heat embossing, and now I'm using a favorite coloring technique, which is watercoloring. And you can see that this is where I'm using some more of those PinkFresh inks, right? You don't have to have watercolor pencils or watercolor markers or even a watercolor palette or liquids or even the like the sprinkles, right? The dry granules that you can watercolor with. You can watercolor with your inks, guys, in case you didn't know that. I think most of us might, but there may be someone here who didn't know that. If you didn't know that you could watercolor with your inks, drop me a note downstairs. I'd love to hear from you. And if you want to talk about it some more, we certainly can. But you just smush it out a little bit onto your palette, whatever that palette might be. You spray it with a little bit of water. Boom, you've got some liquid watercolor. So I'm just laying down a couple shades of green. You can see one's a little bit lighter. I think I used olive, and the other one, I won't lie to you, I think it may have been fresh pear, but that seemed a little too light. Anyway, I used 2 shades of green, and then I've got 2 shades of tan, and then I've got 2 shades of darker brown, and then I also have 2, maybe 3 shades of yellow actually. So while you guys watch me lay color down, because it's just about adding darker colors where the shadows would be and lighter colors for the highlights, and then adding layer and layer to get your depth and dimension. And I want to tell you about the hop. Okay, so again, Card Hopping Group was created from the Handmade Happiness group. I know it's group, but we are a group of crafters. We get together every month. We are led by our fearless leader, Miss Jen Holder Schoolcraft, sorry, and she's amazing. She's an amazing artist. She's an amazing leader. She's so kind and gentle and thoughtful, and she keeps us on track every month, and she comes up with these great themes, and I call it a challenge. It may not be a challenge so much as it is just technique options, but anyway, like I said, this month was favorite stamp for the theme, and then the challenge, I'm just going to call it a challenge because that's what I do, is the ink swiping or color blocking, and every month it's something different. So if you would like to participate, we'd love for you to join us, and I will put a link to the group downstairs, and you can participate and make videos with us every month if you'd like to, or pick and choose a month here and there, whatever suits you. And we would also love it if you would like our videos, if you like them. If you feel so inclined to subscribe to our channels while you're hopping along, we'd love for you to become part of our crafty tribes. Definitely leave us comments. We love to interact with you guys. I know for myself, that's one of my favorite things, is talking to you guys downstairs in the comments. Love it. And that's really all there is to it. The next person in the lineup actually will be listed downstairs. I forgot to tell you that. And I will try to have the entire lineup, so if you get lost along the way, you could always just hop back here to find the next person. But yeah, so I'll have the actual next person in the lineup will definitely be listed. If I can get the whole lineup, I'll do that as well. So hop along, do all the things. We'd love to have you join us. Back to my card. So some more of my favorites, right? Dimension. So you saw me lifting my card panels up with double-sided foam tape. I'm adding a little bit more embossing because I just can't not. And I love damask. I love that kind of formal elegance, but kind of juxtaposed. I mean, with a buffalo plaid, right? So I love that juxtaposition of the casual with the formal and the grungy with the elegant. And yeah, I guess that kind of sums me up a little bit. One thing I would have changed as far as this particular damask stamp. Now, don't get me wrong. I love all the damask stamps that I have. This one I feel is a little too wide, and you'll see when I put it away, I have one that's a little bit more narrow, that I feel the narrower one would not have kind of blocked the color blocking so much. See that middle one? See how much more narrow it is than the other two? I think that one would have been better for this particular project, but I love them all, and I'm not mad about it. So here I have my PinkFresh Studio. They are called Fancy Label Frames. There's 18 pieces to this set. There are 4 different designs and 6 different sized frames for each design. So I have stamped and heat embossed my sentiment strips, and I'm cutting them out with this fun little frame, and of course doing this grungy, elegant heat embossing along the edges of my sentiments as well to kind of keep that corresponding frame situation going on. And then I actually add some ink, a little bit of the Buff PinkFresh Studio ink to my my sentiment panels, because that white is very, very bold, very striking, stark maybe is the better word, against those warmer colors. So just adding that little bit of buff ink really just kind of makes it more of a cream cardstock. So you saw me kind of lining up my Gerbera, not my Gerbera, it's a Bremerton daisy. You saw me kind of lining that up against my card because really that one floral fits one panel, but I only have one. So what am I going to do? I knew I was going to cut it in the beginning. This is where I wish that I had stamped the whole image out on a larger piece of paper to begin with, a larger piece of cardstock. Cutting that was hard. I know some of you probably gasped. I kind of did as well when I did it, but it's okay. It's all right. The only thing that I'm Again, I'm not mad about that either, but because I stamped it on such a small piece of cardstock, it has all those hard edges, and you don't want hard edges necessarily with a floral, right? That's one of the things we like about florals, is that they're soft, that they're flowy, that they're kind of, I don't know, cushy and comfortable, if that makes any sense at all. But the harder edges kind of take that away. So with this one, the one that I'm working on now, is the left side of the flower, and it ends up being okay. Like, I'm not mad about this at all, because I die cut these vellum panels out, and I line up the hard edge of this floral with the hard edge of the vellum panel, and to me it makes sense, because we cut off edges of images all the time, right? Just to make them fit within the confines of the card base or the card panel. So that makes sense to me. And then it's lined up against the hard line of the vellum panel. So I think that one makes sense. Perfect sense. No problems with that one at all. There it is. All done. All done. This one I have a hard time with because it has hard edges on both sides. So I'm trying to figure out if I can use the frame of the panel that was cut out, and that just doesn't make sense at all. So I cut out another one. And I'm going back and forth and trying to figure out, like, which hard edge do I line up with the hard edge of the panel. And finally I just told myself, stop overthinking it, just glue it down. So is it my favorite? No, but there are different ways that I could have fixed it, but it's okay. It's card making, right? It's not going to be perfect. But going back to that miss stamp, you see right there in the middle where the image isn't there? Well, my hand's over it now. But this is how I mask that. I camouflage that boo-boo with the sentiment, and you don't even know that it was a boo-boo. And here is why I made my card base and my card panel smaller than the standard A2 size, because I also like the layers and I like the frames. I like the white frame around the card panel, and I like that green frame around the card base. So I trimmed it down just a little bit to have some more color, some more dimension, and these are my cards. Boom, boom, boom. Lots of favorites this time, guys. My favorite background stamps, one of my favorite regular stamps, my favorite color palette. Heat embossing was my favorite techniques. I love damask. I love dimension. My favorite inks. I love the frames. Whew, lots of favorites. And another favorite thing is making videos and cards for you guys. So leave me a comment downstairs so that I can chat with you down there, because again, that's another favorite, and I would love to meet you downstairs. Again, I will try to have the Facebook group, the Card Hoppin' Facebook group, linked downstairs. So if you're interested in joining us, please join us. Send us a message if you have more questions or information or anything, or again, just drop the comment downstairs. Hop along, as always. Give everybody some love, the like, the subscribes. Whew, I'm out of breath, y'all. Thanks for hopping with me today and spending a little bit of time. I'm so thankful. You could have done anything with these 12, 13 minutes and you spent them with me. So thank you. I'm honored. This is Nancy, the Handy Scandy. Until next time, I'm out.